HorrorDeconstruction.
What's up, everybody? It's the HorrorDeconstruction. You'll find us on Instagram, Facebook, but most likely on YouTube. Give us a like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell icon. Subscribe with your host, Komp and
Catwalker.
And today's film is
HIRUKO the Goblin, 1991.
Yokai Hunter, HIRUKO, also known as HIRUKO the Goblin, 1991. A school was built on one of the gates of hell, behind which hordes of demons await the moment they will be free to roam the earth. Good. They put a lot of shit in here. Anyway, I'm not going to read the rest of that. That's good.
Directed by on the wiki, it's like the whole movie.
I know. Right, directed by Shinya Tsukamoto. If you remember, he did Tetsuo the Iron Man.
Iron Man, yeah.
And not to be confused with Tetsuo the Irony Man, who would have rain on his wedding day.
or the Iron Man starring Robert Downey Jr.
Yes. Written by Daijiro Moroshi, who did the manga Kairu Sai no Yoru Yokai Hunter. Also, Koji Tsutsumi, who did the story, and Shinya Tsukamoto, who actually wrote the screenplay, starring Kenji Sawada, Masaki Kudo, and Hideo Muroda. So, Danny, why did I pick HIRUKO the Goblin?
I don't know, but good pick.
I know. I was watching. I was just looking for random films, and I think I follow a page on Facebook called the Yurei, which
I feel like
highlights.
You mentioned this like a year ago or something.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about it, but the Yurei is this. I believe it was this page. It might have been one of these pages, but it talks about Japanese horror and manga and stuff like that, and they brought up this movie, and it was directed by Shinya Tsukamoto. And if you know Shinya Tsukamoto, like we said, Tetsuo the Iron Man, I usually think of him doing.
That's not funny though at all.
No, Tetsuo the Iron Man is like depressing and bizarre, and he's like a weird Japanese David Lynch. That goes without saying, but he kind of does art house, really weird, out there fucking art house movies.
How are these sequels to the Iron Man movie?
I don't know. I mean, we should check them out. Actually, we should check them out because Iron Man is Tetsuo the Iron Man is a bizarre movie.
But you can see the camera shit in there that's in here.
Absolutely. Too. Oh yeah. But the thing is, this is way more streamlined. So I assume this came out after.
Yeah, this was 2 years later or something.
Okay, so this is probably when he came out with that movie. I'm sure people were like blown away by it. Then they were like, okay, let's get you into the Hollywood process. And so this is probably a quote unquote Hollywood movie compared to his other films. But he did really well.
Iron Man was 89. This was, 91, right?
Yeah, but watching this movie, it reminded me of the aesthetics and the feel of it. Reminds me of movies that I love of Japanese horror, like Evil Dead Trap and Evil Dead Trap 2. And
the second one was great.
And even this reminds me of the Evil Dead, just in kind of its frantic weirdness.
Yeah.
And the way that it has... what is that type of special effects called? That it's not CGI? Practical effects and stuff like that. So this story involves what, Danny?
It involves this archaeologist guy who believes in goblins, and there's apparently a school built on goblins on a portal to hell or something. So
yeah, he apparently was laughed out of I guess his esteemed membership in one of archaeology club because he believes in yokai, which are demons in Japan. Japan has many different types of demons. Yokai, you can like see the good ones and bad ones because they have a different religious structure over there. I don't think they even have a religious structure over there. They just sort of have a lot of things that describe all types of life, shit like that. So he believes that in yokais and demons and stuff like that. And one of the things that I loved about this film is how like everybody is so over the top in their acting.
Yeah,
it's like it's not even a question. Like it's like just like cartoonish. I can't even.
At one point, they were both looking at the camera and they're like,
yeah. Their screams are so good. And it's gory too. It's like really good gore and stuff like that. Yeah, there was some
nice decapitations.
Fantastic practical effects. Actually, when I read up where it came from, because this was based on a comic book, and I looked up the actual comic book, and this is what the comic says. It's Reijiro Hieda, because that's the name of the main character, a young and energetic archaeologist, has been discredited since advocating heretical theories. A letter from his brother-in-law, Yabe. So I guess that was his brother-in-law. He must have been married to, obviously, the aunt.
This is definitely inspired a little bit by Evil Dead, because
oh yeah,
it came before, and also The Thing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking also. But the comic is very different. It actually has the main plot points of, the father disappearing after inspecting this cave. They didn't have the little girl that was Tsukishima.
Okay.
But the main guy was cool in the comic book. He's like this guy with long black hair and a black suit.
Yeah, he's
Looks
not
like
like a
cool,
dork. Like
no,
this
he's
guy.
not like a nerd like this character. So it seems like they cherry picked ideas, and the goblins look more disturbing in the comic than they do here. They're just like spiders with arms. So I don't know how practical it would have been compared to like doing spider work. But Danny, what happens at the beginning of this film with this professor and his young friend Tsukishima, or whatever her name is?
They are attacked by a goblin.
I guess this is the summer because the school is closed down. And there's these 3 kids. I think it's Masao as a kid, Yabe and his 2 best friends, and they're just sort of doing very Japanese schoolboy things where they're just kind of walking around inspecting this area, this beautiful area. Japanese schools, if you go on YouTube and you
they're
just
always
look,
like huge, giant like things.
That's why I was reading something. I was like, why are there so many animes and comic books based on high school in Japan? Because apparently that's like the golden era of Japanese people's lives when they're young.
Yeah, I've wondered it too. By the way, the guy in this is from The Happiness of the Katakuris.
Oh, really? The main dude, Hieda?
Yeah.
Who was he in it?
Was
he? No, he wasn't. Happiness. I was thinking of Visitor Q. Okay, Happiness of the Katakuris, right, you're right.
The singing one where they have like
with the dead people and stuff like that. But the reason why they do so many high school movies is because once you become like a salaryman and you just work your life and then just get drunk and all this shit, it's probably like terrible. And like high school years, where you look at high school in Japan where they got archery, they got all this shit, and you're like, wow, this is like such cool shit to do.
Like every anime makes all these high school kids look like these badass adults. It's so
funny. So anyway, that's besides the point. That really isn't anything to do with this film. But Masao's with his 2 best friends, and Masao has always had this crush on a girl named Tsukishima, who I guess was a neighbor, and she was a student of his dad, who was a professor at this school. Although I would assume he's a professor at a college, but I don't know if like they have senseis or teachers. I don't know. Either way, she was very smart, and she was also into archaeology. And I didn't know if they had a thing going on or not. It's not very explicit. I don't think they did, but who knows? It wasn't in the comic. But anyway, she follows them down to this cave. They disappear. They vanish. Something bad happens. Masaki has these weird, dark, like burning sensations on his back, and then it took me a while to understand what the fuck was going on.
I like that. That was cool.
Yeah. It took me a while to understand what was going on. Then I realized, every person that died, a face comes on his back of that person's soul.
Yeah.
Because I realized that was people's faces, and I was like, shit, man. I love the practicality of this film and the way it's shot. It's very old school '90s Japanese film. And I guess underground sort of, when film was actually shot on film, not digital.
And the music is like so goofy too. It's like very fun.
Yeah, the music in this movie is this type of style. I believe it's called city pop, which is in Japan.
Okay.
If you just go on YouTube and you look up Japanese city pop, it was the style of music. I think it's still. I'm not sure if it's still around, but it was very big during the '80s and '90s, where it's kind of like you sort of just like relax and chill. It's like vibes of a city. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah,
like,
you're right. It came up. 80s Japanese city pop playlist.
Yeah, it's just like you relax, and it's the music that comes up when the teacher is on his bike coming towards the frame and shit like that. So it's like just chill. It's really good music. It's like music you can do work to, that you can just relax and you just leave it on the background. I can't explain it correctly, but just look up Japanese city pop, and it's really fucking good music. And it's like if you've ever seen any anime from the 80s or 90s, that type of film. It's just, that type of sound. But anyway, so Masao is, and his friends, they see this random student going to go kiss Tsukishima, and it's breaking his heart.
Student? It looked like a teacher.
I guess it could have been a teacher too. But he left before he can see whatever happened after, which was pretty bad. I know you and I, I'm sure, have been through. Most guys have gone through that with it. They see the person that they like the most totally hugged up on somebody else, and he's just like, I gotta get out of here. This is depressing. So it's that type of. It was that type of situation. What ends up happening is the boys are confronted by this ne'er-do-well groundskeeper named Watanabe, who
he
runs.
He could have been more forthright.
Yeah, I think he's just. Yeah, I guess you're right. I don't know. I mean, he
even after he knows that they're like on the same side, he's still like beating them and shit.
So anyway, he goes and he discovers this. He gets there at night, and this is just the main fun of the film and how bizarre and berserk the rest of the movie goes from here, because they're just hunted down by this supposedly invisible HIRUKO the Goblin, but in
It's
the comic,
not invisible.
well, yeah, I mean, when we see like the point of view, we don't see, we don't actually see what it is.
And then it was telling the other guy, the main kid Yabe, to chop his head off with a chainsaw.
Yeah,
He
which is obviously very Evil Dead inspired. But like, yeah, the part when she jumps on his head and she's trying to figure out information of how to open up the stone cavern, so all the Hirukos can get out of the fucking whatever chasm that they're in. And I love that scene because I actually felt sad watching it, because it sort of like blanked out to like a happier times, or this made up happy time when he was with his family and also with Tsukishima, the girl that he really had a crush on,
Right.
and he would never get to be with her. And then it tells him to
life
like,
is just suffering. Now his dad is some kind of demon creature. Well, no,
Yeah.
at the end he turns into a giant sperm and goes into outer space. So
yeah,
there's
that part I was just like, they should have not have done that scene.
No, I loved it. I thought it was great.
But I love that whole scene with the visual of just all this whole family in white, like so happy, and then he's about to chop his own head off with a fucking chainsaw,
Yeah.
and just the wackiness at the beginning when they're like the tools that Hiedo uses. You can tell it's just like a pot with shit taped onto it, but it can detect goblins. Like,
It reminded me of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids a
yeah,
little
it
bit.
did look like that. Like he was gonna have that on his head. It's just like a beautiful work of practical effects and music and the way it's shot, because it makes me want to look for more of these types of films, more of these like old school Japanese bargain basement type of movies. But it doesn't feel cheap at all. Like, you can tell the movie's cheap, but it's
No, it's good. It's better than a lot of horror movies.
oh,
I've seen
absolutely,
now.
because it's entertaining. Because this is my sort of sweet spot where it's not horror where it's just like, oh god, there's a monster here, we gotta get out of here. It's like horror with like two main bros that are running around. You know what I mean? Like main characters that are trying to escape this shit, and like their friendship, and then also like practical effects and these bizarre looking monsters and stuff like that. It's like that type of stuff I really like and I enjoy, and you don't really see movies like that because it's always like now like a horror movie has to represent like you not getting your dick hard or something like that. You know what I mean? That's to like represent something else. Like this is just like pure like goofball storytelling, and I really enjoyed it. What are things that you didn't think worked for this movie?
I mean, it's a little dated.
Yeah,
Like,
it is very dated.
Some of the effects like would be better if they like had a little more budget and shit like that. But overall, it's very fun.
Did
And
the
it's a little
over-
too goofy?
Did the
A little too
overacting
goofy.
bother you at all?
It's goofy, but like it's funny. Like if it was trying to be like a horror movie, like then
I think it was. I mean, the thing is that since we're not from Japan, we don't know if this is what they take as, like, you know what I mean, as like actual like fear in Japan. Like the part when Yabe is like, what is he doing? He's hitting like a piece of like brush with his bat, and Heida's like, look behind you, and it's like decapitated bodies of Tsukishima and that teacher, and they fall over. The way they scream and run out of the room is one of the funniest fucking things. He does it hundreds of times. It's like they scream at shit and run out of the room so many times. It's fucking hilarious.
You know how like dramatic riding a bicycle through a window, but it looks like a car went
Yeah,
flying through it?
there is a lot of defenestration in this movie. With defenestration means to throw yourself out of a window. They do it.
Oh,
I
okay.
think
I never heard that before.
Yeah, I know. I heard the first time I heard it was like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. But like the guys like jumps through windows like it's nothing in this
Like
movie, and I
4
loved
times,
it.
Maybe.
Yeah, I fucking love it. It's so stupid because they ride a bicycle through a window. Like, how do you do that? But
And the bicycle goes so far. Like it's
It
like
does.
as if they were going like 50 miles an hour.
what are the things that you really liked about the movie?
I mean, I love the creepy fucking what's her face? What's the name of her?
Tsukishima
Yeah, Tsukishima like face just like
in the water part.
constantly
Oh, right.
screaming and like moaning and stuff is very funny.
I really like that the ballad that she sings in the movie.
Yeah.
Because that first part,
Creepy.
because yeah, it is. And another thing about these movies from Japan, they never knew when to cut. Like, I don't know how their editing is, but whenever they edited, like, there would be like a synth scene to be like the POV of the monster, and it just like abruptly cuts off. Like if it was from another movie, when it cuts to a silent scene, like it never like leads into the next scene, which I don't understand. But there's a great scene with Tsukishima where she's singing her ballad, and her face is coming out of this water, and we find out why later, like why she's in that specific area of the water, which is actually a pretty cool visual. And then like you see her spider legs come out of the water,
her little
and then she walks
elbows.
Yeah, right, the elbows, and then she walks onto land and stuff like that. And then another part where he hears her singing and playing. It's like behind a piano, and you just see her face like slowly get up from the piano. I fucking love that. Like that was so fucking cool.
Yeah.
And then especially the part
they really did a lot with like no budget.
Yeah, and then the part with when they do find the lair of the HIRUKOs, and they look up and they're like wondering where because the light wakes them up, I guess. And they realize it's moonlight.
I think HIRUKO is just one monster, and there's
in the comic, the HIRUKO is the name of the actual demons, so it's different in this one. Although I don't like.
Okay.
I guess HIRUKO is the main guy, but we don't really ever see one main HIRUKO. I guess at the end we do see a main HIRUKO.
I thought they were just goblins, and HIRUKO was just one goblin.
Yeah. In the comic, I think the name of the land was HIRUKO, so that's why they call them HIRUKO demons or some shit like that. Doesn't matter. That's not in the movie. But anyway, there's a part when they find the lair of these creatures. They look better as spiders because they look sort of like weird birds by themselves. And there's a part where they all gather in this one place that has moonlight coming into it, which is if you look up, you can see a hole in the cavern, which is underneath the lake, but the water's not falling through. So it's like this real weird, surreal like moment. But I thought that was like beautiful. Like it looked so fucking great.
And that's what the spirits come out of at the end, right?
Yes. They turned into. You want to describe that scene? Because that was.
They looked like sperm. It looked like giant spirit sperms. That
you see like this sort of white rainbow-esque thing, and then he goes to the room and he sees like a giant version of Tsukishima's face, which to me I would lose my mind like Lovecraft or something if he saw an Italian person. But like it's like this. It's you see Tsukishima's face,
or
and
one of my people.
Yeah, especially. But their heads just start flying into the galaxies and shit, and I was like, yeah, that's very Japanese. That's very 1990s Japanese. But I dug it, man. I really dug the movie. It's like it's so weird and so off kilter, and just the way that it is. It makes me want to
watch the other movies the guy made.
Oh yeah, no, I remember seeing one called Nightmare Detective that people really like. Shinya Tsukamoto was also Gigi in Ichi the Killer. He was the old man, the guy that was muscular and shit. So Shinya Tsukamoto, he's like a very respected Japanese director, and
What about the kid Yabe? Is he in anything, or the janitor?
I know the rest of these guys look pretty familiar, but then again, like I remember in the early 2000s when I would watch.
On Tsukishima because
he only did 3 movies. Oh no, I guess the guy. Well, I guess he wasn't in anything else after this. He quit acting after HIRUKO the Goblin, which sucks. Oh well, he was fun. I liked this. I liked his character. I liked the way he acted, especially like the sad scenes when he was thinking about Tsukishima. Well, that sucks, but I think the performances, while they're over the top, like they all act like stage actors in this.
The janitor's also in the happiness of the Katakuri.
Oh, okay, good. So I'm glad that he got to work in some stuff. They're all like really entertaining people, and Shinya Tsukamoto is obviously a very clearly gifted director. He's gotten into more serious work as of late. But you can see that he can make a movie like this and make it fun and entertaining, like that. He was also in Shin Godzilla, a movie that we should review, because I don't want to see these American Godzilla movies. Okay. I want to see the Japanese one that's good.
I haven't seen Godzilla movies since that terrible Matthew Broderick one.
Oh, brother. I didn't want to bring that up. I was laughing in the theater for that, and people were getting mad at me. But anyway. So this, I think, is a really solid B movie. I think it's like almost like a B, very B plus type of
it's a B
old school. Like when you think, because there are a lot of people say, "Oh, this is a B movie," and it's like a horrible movie. It's like, no. This is a B movie. This is. I don't
think a B movie means if it's good or bad. I think it means the budget.
Right. But I mean, there's people that have movies that make no fucking budget, and they think that it's a B movie. This is actually like a good B movie, like a good
Yeah.
Like you could compare it to like Toxic Avenger, even though this is obviously way better film than Toxic Avenger, but they still have the same sort of entertainment levels, I think. Not ironically, I guess. But is there anything else you want to talk about HIRUKO the Goblin with this movie?
No, I'm just interested why all of these people are in that movie Happiness of the Katakuris. I wonder if like Takashi Miike is tied into this somehow, or I don't know. Maybe he produced it or something. I'm trying to look.
Maybe Shinya was like, "Hey, put these people in a movie." because he's worked with them before since he was Gigi.
Except Takashi Miike. Oh yeah, duh. Ichi the Kill. Yeah, you just said it. Okay, cool.
Anyway, so what rating would you give HIRUKO the Goblin?
I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
Very good.
Seeing your dad and your aunt being saved from the goblin cave and turned into giant sperm things coming out of a lake and going into outer space.
I too would like to give it an 8 out of 10. Seeing the love of your life singing behind a piano, and then when you went to go see an upskirt, she's not there. And with that, Danny, what's the final word?
HIRUKO the Goblin.
The HorrorDeconstruction.